Well, howdy, folks. You are on the Seek on the Speed 252 show. Scroll over to the right and click that subscribe button. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another great episode of Seek on the Speed 252. And a lot of you has been asking me, what has it been like, owning this car during quarantine time? And I can tell you right now, man, there's been some ups and some downs. And I want to get into some of those details about owning a 2020 C8 mid-engine Corvette during a crazy pandemic, during COVID-19, during quarantine time, whatever the case may be, whatever you guys want to call it. It has been a up and downhill thing, which, let's be all honest, a lot of people have died from COVID-19, which is sad. And, it's one of those things where before I ordered this car, I didn't know anything about COVID-19. I ordered this car back in September of last year. Didn't know anything about the virus, obviously. I still had to go forth and buy it because at that point I had already put the money towards it and, whatever the case may be. But I do want to talk about some of the ups and some of the downs with owning this car during a pandemic, during the quarantine. And I know some of you guys are in the process right now of getting your cars. And I know some of you guys have already gotten your cars. And leave your comments down below. What do you guys think on some of the cars you have already gotten during this pandemic? Because, a lot of people went out and bought cars at the beginning of this year because those are when the great deals have started. Obviously, I didn't get a great deal on this car. Just, pay MSRP. And I really enjoyed this car since I have owned it. So one of the things about owning this car during the 2020 model year is that it has been great. It's been a beautiful car to own. I mean, I completely can say right now that this car has been freaking phenomenal and has been a beast to drive. There's a lot of ups and downs with owning this car during a pandemic. And I will say that one of them has been that, obviously I couldn't get together with some of my friends. I enjoy owning this car. I enjoy driving this car. I enjoy talking about this car. I enjoy looking at this car. I enjoy cleaning this car. Like, there are so many things about this car I have enjoyed since owning this car during a pandemic, but it made it very difficult for me to actually fully enjoy it. As you guys know, when I first bought my C7 Corvette, from the people that's been part of the channel, the ones that haven't been part of the channel, I own a C7 Corvette at home, Grand Sport. It's not a Z06. So it's one of those things where, still a great, cool looking car. And man, I put a lot of miles in that bad boy. I put 26,000 miles in that car, and I was driving, so many places. I was driving across country, driving to car shows. It was one of those things where, I really enjoyed that car. The first year I got it, like I said, 2017 in September, it was pretty much towards the end of the car scene. Car scene, most places ends around September, sometimes in October. Here, the weather doesn't get that bad in October, so we're still able to do a couple of cars and coffee. But it's been tough this year. I haven't been able to really attend any cars and coffee events. I haven't really been attending any YouTube events. I know I wanted to go to the Corvette Museum back in June for the bash, or was it May? One of the two, not exactly sure. But I wanted to attend that event. I wanted to bring both the C8 and the C7 there, but that event wasn't being held because of the coronavirus. And I really wanted to bring this car out across the world to have a lot of people who are interested in buying this car, maybe interested in getting this spec, or already ordered this spec, just haven't seen the car in person yet, see the car. Once again, you guys know I bought this car because I support Corvette. I support the brand. I support the engineers. The engineers know I have a lot of love and respect for them. And I wanted to take place in something pretty much as history. This is the first mid-engine Corvette there has ever been made, or massively produced, I must say. And it took the car market by storm. I mean, you can come up with bad things to say about each and everything about this car. You can come up with every good thing to come up with this car. And we all know there's good and bad that comes with everything in life. I mean, it's insane. But this car has a lot of pros, more so than it does cons. I have been able to meet a couple of my YouTube buddies, during this pandemic, and we was able to race each other. Obviously, we had to stay at a distance. We couldn't shake hands like we normally do. I wasn't able to go visit my family members who also love to take a joyride in the car with me. As you all know, we have older, family members in our family that we're not able to see or eat dinner with because, the pandemic. I will say that, the good thing about life is that I do have good health right now, and I'm blessed to have this car during the pandemic. This is one thing that has been keeping a smile on my face, being able to go in the garage and go on daily trips by myself. There's been a few times where, car club members have gotten together and drove, in the mountains or drove on curvy back roads. And I mean, it's been great. I mean, there was one time where Mike took me to his area and we drove on back roads all day long, and I recorded in my PDR, and it was freaking phenomenal. Up and down hills, around curves. in my opinion, that was much funner than going to the track. I mean, obviously I couldn't open up as much as I want to, and at least on a track I don't have to worry about the police officers being behind me. But when you're tracking, your car with 4 or 5 other people on some back roads, most likely the police officer won't pull all of you guys over. I mean, who do we know? But I do drive a red Corvette, and they know what they say. The red cars get pulled the most. So I probably could be that stereotypical red car that got pulled over. But at the end of the day, it's one of those things where is owning this car has been a great attribute to my life. It helped me make your YouTube videos to connect with you all. I know some of you guys have subscribed to my YouTube channel based off me owning this car, which I'm very thankful for. Some of you guys have subscribed to my YouTube channel when I first bought my C7 Corvette. And it's been a joy to own. It's been a joy to get used to. It's been a joy to drive. It's been phenomenal, hearing the engine, in the back of this car behind you when you're driving. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad noise whatsoever. It's an excellent noise, because now I officially own a mid-engine sports car, and Chevrolet made that possible for me. As you guys know, who have been family members or part of this channel for years, that my dream car has always been a Lamborghini, and you all know how I feel about those cars. But, owning this car alone kind of takes place of the Lamborghini as of right now. Now, I know a lot of you guys will be like, well, the Corvette obviously cannot replace the Lamborghini. And no, it will never be able to replace the Lamborghini. It just depends on what you're looking for, right? Like, the Lamborghini is like an exotic car, right? They put you in that exotic territory. Driving this car in a normal day life compared to, people that are driving their normal cars, this car puts you in an exotic car territory. But overall, this car is a lot more affordable. You get a lot of bang for your buck. It's a great to own. It's a pleasure to drive. And once again, like I said before, there's been a lot of positive things and great things about owning this car during a quarantine. Let me give you one example, which in my personal opinion, I wouldn't say is the best feeling. There was one day where one of my friends that worked at the dealership said, hey, Clarence, like there's this car meetup. It's going to be about 10, 15 cars. We will all be able to wear our masks, keep social distance. We're just going to, walk around the C8 for a little bit and talk. Cool with me. It was late at night. I was just like, I had anything else to do. So we drive to this location pretty much like an hour away. You know me. I mean, it is what it is. I enjoy driving. And we get there. And you guys, I'm telling you right now, there was nowhere near 20 people. It was more like 4,000 people. And it was loaded. And I was just like, I thought it was going to be 20 people. He was like, yeah, it must got out of control. Like people started, sending messages out. And at this time, it was still doing quarantine where people was probably tired of being in their house or whatever car they had. They brought it out. They didn't care. They just wanted to show it, display it, and I respect that. So when we got there, the C8 Corvette shut down the scene. I'm talking about when this bad boy arrives at Cars and Coffee or that event that day, the whole scene shut down. I mean, the crowd went stupid nuts over this car. They was like, oh my gosh, there's the C8. There's the C8. I never seen one in person, man. Oh, I love the red, blah, 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 blah. I mean, etc., etc. This car shut down and turned a lot of heads that night. And it went from being 20 cars to 4,000 cars in a parking lot. There was police officers there. It was probably about 4 or 5 police officers. They maintained the crowd. They kept everything at a steady pace, and nobody did anything crazy. Obviously, people did burnouts and things like that, which I had no desire to do any burnout. So if you guys looking for me to do burnout on this channel regarding this C8 Corvette, probably won't happen. Just because I do know that at some point I want to maybe be able to afford the Z06, and I think the best thing for me to do is make sure I take care of this car, because it's possible that at some point I may sell this car to a follower of the channel, and if I don't, it's probably going to end up in somebody else's hands. So I want to make sure this car is well taken care of. So I have no desire to do any burnouts, which there's plenty of YouTube videos on YouTube of people doing burnouts in SC8, and that's completely fine, to each his own. But when I was out there at an event that night, I'm sitting here standing beside the car with 4 of my other friends, and people are coming up asking questions and things like that, which I have no problem whatsoever. You guys know, you ask me any question, I'm going to give you an answer, whether you like the answer or you don't like the answer. But that's just me being honest and being serious. So I'm sitting there, just watching people walk up to the car. My friend Josh like, hey, you might want to take the roof off, because people actually want to see inside the car. So I take the roof off, put it inside the trunk. This guy comes up to me. Doesn't matter. I don't know what age he was. Doesn't matter. He comes up to me. The first thing he asked was who car this belongs to. Now, obviously at that point in time, I didn't have any C Gonna Speed 252 stuff on. I just was in my normal clothes. My friends were in their normal clothes, and my friend Josh looks and points at me, and immediately the guy says, "You can afford this car?" And I was just like, dude, of all the questions you could ask in the world, that's the one question you're gonna ask me is, can I afford this car? That's that's not a good question to ask, man. That's not nice. That's not cool. Like, maybe ask me, like, how long you had it, like how many miles on it, how you enjoying this car. Now, I'm not gonna let that one guy, spoil the bunch for everyone else, because most of the people that came to ask me questions tonight was very like nice and generous and very respectful. But during a quarantine time where everybody's going through a sad depression by being stuck in the house and not being able to enjoy their time with their family members and their friends, and the first thing you're gonna ask me is, you can afford this car? It's like, come on, dude, come on. And so, it's one of those things where, like, do I get that question a lot? Yeah, absolutely. It's completely fine. But it's one of those things where, like, that's not a good question to ask. But it is what it is. To each his own, I guess. Another great thing that I do want to talk about with owning this car during the quarantine time is that this car actually has been in my personal opinion, a test dummy. Right? Now, a lot of you guys will be like, why is this a test dummy? I think it's a test dummy for every future C8 Corvette owner in a number of ways, right? So I bought this car early on. I know a lot of you guys will say you should never buy a first-gen car because it's come with a lot of issues. Well, let me tell you right now, I haven't really had any issues with this car whatsoever. You haven't once seen me bringing it in for a check engine light, knock on wood. You haven't seen me once bringing it in for any other issues whatsoever. So to say like every generation has its issues, yeah, absolutely. I've owned a C7 Corvette 2017. The check engine light come on once, but the C7 Corvette came out in 2014. No problems other than the catalytic converter going bad in the C7 Corvette. But what I mean by a test dummy while owning this car is because this car actually helped Chevrolet figure out a lot of things during quarantine, right? For instance, Chevrolet has reached out to me a few times and said, hey, has there been any issues with the car that we need to be aware of? We're still, working on this car. We're still figuring out some quality issues. We want to figure out if there's anything on your end that we need to know about. So obviously, I put a lot of miles in this car. Not a lot, maybe a lot to you guys, maybe not a lot to me because I enjoy driving. I put a lot of miles in this car just so that I am able to help out the future Corvette owners. So if there's anything that is wrong with this car, Chevrolet can go back to the drawing board and say, okay, we need to figure out why that happened and fix it now before we mass produce this car anymore before getting into customers' hands. As you all know, my car was built February 3rd and I didn't get it till March 12th. So pretty much my car sat on quality control hold for at least almost a month and a week or so. And the entire time it was sitting out there, I was hoping that they was looking at my car up and down, whatever the case would be, making sure there wasn't any issues or flaws with this car. Now, granted, no one's perfect. There's no engineer that's perfect. There's no human being that's perfect. There's no car that is perfect. Would there be any cars or C8 Corvettes out there that has issues? Absolutely. But you cannot blame that on Chevrolet. You can blame it on everybody else but Chevrolet. For instance, I wouldn't say but Chevrolet. For instance, this car was not all built by Chevrolet. There's been parts that have been built by other companies, by other brands, whatever the case may be. There could be something faulty in somebody's transmission, might not have been built by Chevrolet, it could have been built by somebody else. The screen could have been damaged, not might have been done by Chevrolet, it could be done by somebody else. But the problem is when there is an issue with the car, somebody's looking for somebody to blame. And I don't like that whole idea, right? Like, this car has been great to own overall. It's been great to own during quarantine. I put at least 4,600 miles in this car, which is a lot, just owning it since March. But I haven't had any issues with it. So that's another good thing about owning this car during quarantine is because I haven't having to bring it into the dealership to have them take a look at it. To stand behind Chevrolet and talk about what they have done to this car has been phenomenal, has been great. And what they've done to this car was help me be able to drive this car a lot longer than keeping it in the shop. It's one of those things where Chevrolet wanted to make sure their first mid-engine platform mass-produced car was done right. And if there were issues with this car, I would tell you. I would say, hey, man, I found a lot of flaws with this car. This is what I figured out. But there hasn't been any. The motor has ran great. The transmission has run smooth. The screen has worked perfectly. My engine and cool seats have worked perfectly. The wheels, obviously, these ain't factory wheels, but these wheels are great. My factory wheels, I enjoyed them. I just want to do something different. And there's nothing bad I can say about this car other than I haven't driven enough. I am looking forward to putting more and more miles on this bad boy every single day. Now, you can take a look at the weather. It's so crappy right here right now. It has rained all week. this is literally pretty much about the only time I'm going to get a break in the weather to be able to actually enjoy this car. And instead, I decided to come out here and make some YouTube videos because that's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy interacting with my fan base, my followers, and being able to create awesome YouTube content. And talk about a car that a lot of you guys are interested in buying, which is the 2020 C8 mid-engine Corvette. So owning this car during quarantine times, like I said before, has been up and bad. You know, I haven't been able to enjoy it with friends like I want to, but I have put a lot of miles on it just because I've been getting out and just driving it, just trying to get used to it, just trying to get used to being behind a mid-engine sports car. I officially now own a mid-engine sports car, you guys. It's like a dream come true. I never thought that growing up in the ghetto, I would be one of those kids who own a sports car. Now, I am one of those kids who grew up thinking that I needed to make it to the NBA to own this car. I need to become an actor to own one of these cars. Now, those were my dreams. I wanted to become an NBA player. I wanted to become an actor. Now, I still probably can become an actor if I decide to pursue that career. NBA player, probably out of the door at this point because I haven't played basketball in over a month, maybe a month and a half. And, you know, those guys play all the time at this point. But you don't have to be an NBA player nor an actor to afford an awesome machine like this. And you all know, like I said before, these cars are meant for us to enjoy them, to get together as friends and family, perform with them, have a great time with them, and just enjoy people's company. You know, it's one of those things where the quarantine thing has sucked. It really has sucked. It hasn't been fun. I know a lot of you guys, you know, probably bought bikes and enjoyed those with your family and stuff like that, or spend more time with your family, which I respect. But when you get your C8 Corvette, you're not going to be able to keep your hands off the steering wheel. That's how amazing this car is. I put all my marbles and my money on it. That if this wasn't quarantine time, think about it. I put 4,600 miles on this car, and we're supposed to be stuck in the house. Imagine if we weren't stuck in the house. How many miles be on this car? I might be at 10,000 miles already. And it's one of those things where people are like, well, man, like, your car depreciated a lot since you put a lot of miles on it. So be it. So be it. Why buy a car if you're not going to drive it? Now, I know a lot of Corvette owners like to keep their cars in the garage, and that's completely fine. You make the monthly payment, you pay the cash for it, keep it where you want to keep it. But I do know you get one life, one opportunity, one shot at this, and there's no need for me to make a monthly payment, as you guys already know what my monthly payment is, to have this bad boy sitting in the garage. Now, yes, it's going to depreciate. Anything's going to depreciate. All these cars right now are depreciating. Now, you can see and say, like, oh, they're brand new and they're not depreciating, but they are depreciating. Why? Because when 2021 comes, these cars are going to go down in value because they're not 2021s. They're 2020s. And a lot of people are not going to pay 2021 price when they can pay 2020 price. So it's one of those things where, like, at the end of the day, everything in life depreciates. We never really, the way I looked at it growing up as a kid, we never really owned anything. Think about it. I can pay this car off right now, pay, you know, cash for it. No, I'm saying I can't do that, but I'm saying if I did do that, and I pay cash for it, I still got to pay taxes on it. So that means, do I still own this car at the end of the day? If my house was paid off, I still got to pay taxes on it. So what do we really own at the end of the day? Why should we let it sit around and rust and wait for someone else to drive it? No, I'm going to drive it. I'm going to drive it. I'm going to put some miles on it. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to enjoy it. And I know a lot of you guys left comments down in the section was like, well, you paid for it, Clan. You should enjoy it. You're exactly right, and I appreciate that. I'm definitely going to take advantage of driving this bad boy. So, you guys, this is what it's been like owning a 2020 C8 mid-engine Corvette during quarantine. And I really greatly appreciate each and every one of you guys for stopping by and watching my videos and supporting the channel, watching the ads. I know you guys can leave your comments down below like, hey, man, I just watched a 15-minute ad for you or a 10-minute ad for you. And I can tell you one thing right now, man, I greatly appreciate each and every single one of you, without a doubt. I am very grateful for each and every one of you right single now. So thank you for watching the video. This is what it's been like owning a car during quarantine time. It's been great. It's been fun. But I think it helped out more so Chevrolet and you future Corvette owners to understand that right now, Seagull and Speed 252 haven't had any issues with this 2020 Corvette. And you should look forward to not having any issues with yours. But if you do have issues with yours, you know, that could be just one of those things where it happens. Take it in, hopefully get it fixed and get taken care of. Once again, you guys, thank you for watching this episode of Seagull and Speed 252. Please subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you again, baby.
Is your seatbelt fastened? All right. Let's go.